28 years later, The Bone Temple. It's a 2026 horror film directed by Nia DaCosta and written by Alex Garland. And I want to talk a little bit about it because I just covered the previous film in the franchise, 28 years later. This is like a direct sequel, like it takes place 5 minutes after the last one. I just made a video not only predicting what the themes of the next one would be, but also what plot elements might be important in the sequel. And I obviously said I was going to follow it up as soon as I saw the movie. I saw the movie twice, and now I think I'm ready to talk about it because there's a lot to talk about. You can take this as a light analysis, but mostly review. This is just a lot of my opinions on the film, while also being a response to what I got wrong in the last video, because like everyone, I'm not perfect. So yeah, let's just get into it. Also, I thought it was funny that it said 28 years bone, according to my movie theater is the title. See how important this theme is? It's bigger than it was in the last video. Something I wanted to talk about in regards to my previous video is a theme that is incredibly important to both of these movies that I didn't really touch on at all. And if I had to give a one-word answer to what that theme would be, it would be faith. Or, well, blind faith. Shoot, that's actually 2 words. But a lot of imagery and like important historical aspects that I didn't really understand when I first saw it, and also thematically, like, I should have been able to get it. I wrote a lot about blind faith in my original draft of it, but I wasn't really able to verbalize it in a way that didn't just sound like a cosmic gumbo of BS. Some stuff I wanted to talk about. The St. George flag is the flag that they fly on the Holy Island, which is also in actual real world history. Holy Island is where Christianity was introduced to England. There's a bunch of religious connotations there. And Spike has blind faith in both of his parents, but slowly has to learn that he either can't fully trust them or might have to take care of them in some ways. So yeah, very obvious when you think about it, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit because I didn't talk about it at all. I just cut it out of my video because it just was me rambling about it. It seems to be a through line throughout all of it. You know, blind faith leading to mistakes and then learning with it. I think the first one is about blind faith. This one is about the mistakes that you can make due to blind faith. And then the third one is redeeming yourself. And that's not just coming from me guessing. That is from what Alex Garland has said himself, what he thinks this trilogy is going to be thematically. I also just want to stop you right here. If you want to hear my thoughts about the movie, I thought it was great. It's unfortunately performing pretty poorly in the box office right now, which kind of stinks because, like, I know the Mario movie about to make $2 billion next month or whenever it comes out. I keep seeing the trailer and it drives me crazy. This movie is really good and it is totally worth forking over a couple bucks at the movie theater to watch. I know I say it like movie tickets are cheap. This is actually worth the price of admission. It's very sad that it's underperforming. I usually don't give a damn about how well movies perform, but especially because this is the second of a trilogy and the third one, I don't know if it's been greenlit or not. I think it is totally worth it, not only because it'll help see this whole trilogy through, but also because it's a really freaking good movie. Not a perfect movie though. I do have some issues. But first I want to talk about the predictions I got right. I hit a nail right on the head about the charity thing and about how charity can be twisted. They say charity about 100 times and it's been twisted into what is ostensibly just like their method of torture. So I think I got really lucky when I said that because I didn't know that was going to be an aspect of the second movie. I knew Samson was going to be a bigger part of the sequel. I honestly didn't think it would go as far as this movie took it, which I'm really happy about. We'll get to that later. But also, like, I was right about what Jimmy's whole thing was and how he's going to end up being this cult leader. A lot of that was presented just with evidence of the first movie, and what I got wrong was everything else I mentioned. I guess alphas can't summon swarms of bats like in Alan Wake is just something that happened. A lot of the stuff I was guessing about that wasn't followed up in the sequel was a lot of stylistic flourishes by Danny Boyle. I ended up reading the scripts, and a lot of the stuff that was crazy about that movie was Danny Boyle's idea and not in the scripts. Like, in the scripts, the scene with the Jimmies, like, they just sort of show up and they're like, let's be pals. Like, they just sort of walk up to Spike. There is no gymnastics Power Rangers fight where they kill a bunch of zombies. So yeah, let's talk about the movie. Reviewing it, ooh. So this movie reminded me a lot of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, because it follows sort of a dual storyline between Dr. Ian Kelson and the Jimmies and Spike. If I was to say anything negative about the movie, I do kind of miss Danny Boyle's crazy style. There really isn't that much experimentation direction-wise, which was kind of one of my favorite things about the first movie, was how like many crazy angles they would get, how nutty the editing could get. the Matrix iPhone thing that they did was super cool, and none of that was in the sequel. It was more just normal, less experimental, and it seems that this sort of method of filmmaking seems to connect with a lot more people. It's getting better reviews. A lot of the people that have seen it have said that this one is better than the first one. I don't agree. I do think Nia DaCosta does actually a really good job directing it. She knows what she's doing as a director. There's not a moment where it feels like she is unsure about how a scene should be filmed. Also think the way she directs the actors is like really good. And there are directorial things that I like. I like the snorri cam on Samson. A lot of the wide shots are very, very beautiful. I love the time lapse of the bone temple. There's a lot of shots of that, and I always thought it was cool. Unfortunately, I sit and I think of a lot of scenes in this movie, and I just think, I'm like, how would Danny Boyle done that? And it probably would have been fucking crazy. Not saying it's not crazy or really good in this movie, but I miss the style. I miss the sauce. That is not me saying Nia DaCosta is a sauceless director whatsoever. She's proven herself before, and she'll probably prove herself again. And she doesn't do a bad job at all. I just miss it, the style. That's all. Also, between these two storylines, I mean, the objectively more interesting one is the shit with Dr. Kelson, and you can tell that Alex Garland also thinks that, because a lot more time and energy is put into his relationship in Samson versus the Jimmies, which they just sort of, they wreak havoc and then they intersect with the Kelson plot line, and then it becomes way more interesting. Whereas there's a lot of buildup between the relationship of Samson and Dr. Kelson. There's no buildup in the relationship with Spike and Sir Jimmy Crystal, whereas I kind of wish there was somewhat. Spike himself is like not really the main character of it. It's Dr. Kelson. I wish there was more of a through line of this. I wish there was more of him getting inducted and like starting to believe in this cult, and then there would be a moment where he realizes that these guys are crazy and he needs to get away. Whereas in the movie, pretty much from the start, he's like, oh god, I'm stuck with these psychos. Which, you know, isn't bad by any means, but I wish there was more of a build-up the same way that the Samson-Kelson plotline had it. Basically, there's the opening scene where he gets inducted, which is awesome, and then we don't see him for like 20 minutes until they're at the cottage eating dinner there, which is a very good scene, but it feels like there's a lot of in-between that just wasn't there. I also think that, like, not as egregiously as Game of Thrones, but it has that sort of issue where you don't really get a good lay of the land in this one, whereas in the first one you very much do. You don't know where any of this takes place. You kind of know where the Bone Temple is in relation to Spike's journey in the first one, but we have no clue where the gang finds it. Like, there's one wide shot where we see Kelly Helleman, I think the actress's name is. She's really good in the movie, but you see a wide shot of her approaching it. And it seems that it's just really close to the cottage, but none of the people in the cottage knew about the Bone Temple. They don't seem to talk about it at all. Whereas if I lived near that, I'd be like, what is it? I don't know. Those are pretty much all the negatives, though. I know it seems like I was just tearing the movie apart structurally, but it's kind of hard to say the positives you feel when it's basically just the general way the movie is made. I thought was good, and the way it was written was good. Whereas I have a lot of specific issues that I can pinpoint. It's sort of like when you see a really bad movie, you can say, oh, well, this actor was pretty good, or this scene was pretty good, but the rest of it was junk. It's sort of the inverse of that, where it's a very good movie and you can only really pinpoint the few issues that you had. So yeah, overall the movie is still really good for me. It just doesn't hit that great point that the first one did. I still totally recommend it, and it seems like a lot of people like it more than the first one, so you probably might also. Let's move on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is the Jimmies themselves. They're not done very subtly, or, you know, they don't like grow as characters except for this one at the end. You don't really get to know any of them. You don't get to know their past or how they got inducted in the cult in the first place, which I kind of wanted to know. But their performances are still very convincing. They have a lot of personality despite, you know, not really having that much to do besides torture and kill people the whole movie. Jimmy Crystal is insanely good. Jack O'Connell puts on a top-tier performance. He is really good. He's kind of killing it as these villain roles because he was also Remick in Sinners. I think Jimmy Crystal, he somehow is able to sort of humanize him, but you still fucking hate the guy from the start of the movie. You never once feel bad for him. Oh, another thing I was right about was the vicar, him leading the infected out, sort of saving Jimmy, is mentioned in this one. The congregation of them, I think he mentions it, which I think is a really cool detail, and I'm so glad I was right about that. If you were worried about them being goofy, which a lot of people said they were, they said they hated the scene. I totally disagree, though. But if you were worried, they're treated a lot more seriously and dangerously in this movie, and they are terrifying. Pretty much every scene with the Jimmies up until the end has a moment that like made me feel ill. My dumbass got a large popcorn and I got fucking Butterfingers in it. I was like eating, and then 30 seconds into the movie you see a guy bleed out horribly, brutally. It is really a scary death scene, and I just like felt sick, obviously, because not only was the movie really graphic, but also I was eating like trash. The real meat and potatoes of this movie is Dr. Kelson and Samson's relationship. It's just beautiful. Seeing this guy who has been humanizing the zombies, which even I in the first movie was like, this guy's a loony. But he's actually right. And he figures out what's causing the rage virus because he's a good doctor. I am a doctor. And he helps cure Samson. And their whole relationship is not when he's cured. Or the relationship between a guy and a wigged out zombie who's on morphine. On paper sounds so boring and weird. But Ralph Fiennes' performance and this guy who plays Samson, who's also really good, whose name escapes me. Ralph Fiennes' performance also, I think, would be Oscar nominated. But the horror movies don't get nominated for Oscars very often unless Jordan Peele made them. Hopefully Sinners will change that, because I thought Sinners was really good. The scene of him and Jimmy also talking for the first time is like awesome. Finally seeing these forces collide, but they don't collide because he's such a nice guy that even Jimmy likes him. There's even a line where Jimmy's like, I don't think I've liked anybody before, but you're easy to talk to. It just goes to show how much of a gentle, cool guy he is. And it sort of ties into the faith theme because he has faith in himself and in science, and he's the one that gets shit done. Whereas the Jimmies, they have faith in their leader and they have faith in old Nick, but they don't do anything except for cause harm. Also, there's sort of like, they're tied into each other because Jimmy is sort of implied to be like schizophrenic. He hears voices. He hears the voice of old Nick, who is Satan, talking to him and telling him to do this stuff. And it's very similar to how the infected have sort of cloud around their mind. We see what they see for a brief moment. We see that, like, Samson sees this random hunter as a monster, basically. It looks kind of shitty, though, and it's kind of corny. I would have killed to see how Danny Boyle did that scene. That was the one scene that I thought the presentation was a little off on. Everything else was great. Through empathy and kindness, he's able to cure Samson while also keeping him a Hulk badass. There's a lot of moments that like made me gasp, like when Samson talks for the first time, when he goes, but I don't have a ticket. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. And it blew my mind. They actually have good chemistry, despite this guy being basically wigged out on morphine in every scene that he's in with Ralph Fiennes. They still somehow, like, you can still completely believe the bond between them. And that's a total testament not only to the direction, but the writing and the acting. Pretty much every aspect of filmmaking was done top tier with the storyline. And that's kind of the part of the movie that resonates with the most people. And of course, this goes somewhere in the end of the movie. The finale, of course, I want to talk about. Because once everything intersects, the third act of the movie is awesome. It is a massive spectacle, while also like avoiding it just being a big dumb fight with a bunch of zombies. I think both of these movies' third acts are really, really smartly done. They're sort of the inverse of each other in a way, because this is all about hatred, whereas the ending of the first one was all about how Spike loved his mom, and he puts her on the top of the Skull Tower, whereas Jimmy, spoiler alert, ends up smack dab at the bottom. Dr. Kelson singing, putting on this whole performance to basically take advantage of the Jimmy's faith in old Nick. It really worked for me. I thought it was so cool, so awesome. There's a lot of needle drops in this movie that I thought didn't really fit. Like, there's a Radiohead song where I'm like, come on, guys. I can't not mention the tragic ending of it all, because, oh my god. Once Dr. Kelson realizes that Spike has been sort of forced to be a part of this gang, he changes his tune and tries to get them to turn against Jimmy, and then of course Jimmy stabs him, and I was really hoping Samson was just gonna run in and wreck shit, but he doesn't. And I'm glad they don't, because that would have been really cliche. I definitely get the redemption angle they're going to go for with the third movie, but at the same time, it's not really Spike's fault. I get why Spike would blame himself. And oh my god, bro. Kelson only realizes that the cure works moments before he dies when Samson comes back and says, thank you. Oh my god, it breaks my heart. It is so messed up that the one person that can save the world ends up dying because of hate. And I guess that is what the sort of redemption angle in the third one is supposed to be. Spike sort of redeeming for the fact that Kelson has died. But yeah, dang, I really like this character. And it's so sad that he died. And his death scene was really emotional for me. It really emotionally hit. I think both of the endings of these movies hit me really hard. But yeah, that's sort of my general thoughts. I think the theme of faith is more prevalent in this one rather than being a coming-of-age story. I think the arc of coming of age is ended in the first one, and I think it's about the sort of death of childhood, which is another way of saying that you've come of age in a way. One of the first shots is actually a shot, they're inside like this indoor water park, and there's like a sign that says no children past this point, and I think that was a very smart way of showing that that is done and we're moving on to faith as a main theme. I really, really appreciated the hell out of this movie. I liked it a lot. I thought every performance was top tier. Besides that one CGI zombie effect over the guy's face, everything presentation-wise was really, really good. I do miss the crazy style, but, you know, I'll take what I have and say that it is still really, really solid. And a lot of people were put off by the editing of the first one, so I think they might just like this more, and I think you might like this more than the first one as well, person who has just had the whole movie ruined for them if you haven't seen it. I love this movie. I think you should go and give it a watch. And also give me a follow on my Insta. You'll see me posting about this video for sure once I'm done with it. But, yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Please leave a comment requesting another movie, or I'll just come up with something. And yeah, please watch the movie. It's not making enough money. And I really hope it does, because I didn't even talk about the freaking cliffhanger ending with Cillian Murphy, which I think expertly sets up the themes of the next one. If I am going to do a deeper analysis, I'll really get into that scene, and it'll probably be in a couple years, though, whenever the third one comes out. If it does. It would really, really suck if it doesn't. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was more of a ramble than a structured essay, but I had a lot to say about this movie. It left a huge impression on me, much like the first one. So, yeah, bye-bye. Have a good one.